I don't want to over exaggerate the influence of atheism because I don't think it's actually something that has really risen in terms of total numbers compared to other religions. It's not the majority. The majority are not atheists in society, but we live in a society that is controlled by atheism. We live in a world, actually, that is dominated by an atheistic worldview, an atheistic legal system, an atheistic culture. This is what is dominant, and that's going to slowly but surely increase the number of people that leave religion and actually reject belief in Allah, reject belief in God. But it's a step-by-step process. Right now, what we see in terms of demographics is that there are a lot of what are called nons, meaning people who are not affiliated with an organized religion. These are the kinds of people that say, I'm spiritual, I believe in God, but I don't practice any particular religion. So they're not technically atheists because they believe in God, but they are just separate from any kind of organized religion. This is the category of people that has seen a huge rise in the past 10, 20 years. And it seems like social media has actually increased the numbers of these nons. So that's what the statistics show. And this is showing step by step, because after you lose connection to a religion, you lose connection to any kind of practice or system of belief, then the next step is atheism, complete rejection of God as well. So this is the trend that we're seeing, and it's caused by this atheistic philosophy, atheistic worldview and ideology that dominates the world, and especially the Western world. And the main ideology of atheism is liberalism. Liberalism, materialism is another one, but as far as politics, morality, psychology, the dominant idea, the dominant ideology is liberalism. And the main thing that liberalism does, actually, I mean, this is a whole major topic in and of itself, is what is liberalism? But I often talk about like philosophical liberalism. And what do we mean by philosophical liberalism? So when I say liberal, I don't mean like left wing. I don't mean Justin Trudeau. That's not what I mean by liberalism. By liberalism, I mean this ideology that actually goes back 250, 300 years to the Western Enlightenment period, this historical period known as the Enlightenment, where there was a rejection of organized religion. And they adopted a philosophy of maximizing liberty, maximizing freedom, maximizing equality as the highest values. And basically the mindset is that these values are above God. These values, these values are above God and revelation, and these are the highest values, and they're the most rational values. And all of society needs to be organized around these beautiful values of freedom and equality above all else. And that's what led to many revolutions that happened, like the French Revolution or the American Revolution, many social movements as well, just the promotion of democracy, the promotion of human rights, and all of this is on the philosophy of liberalism, philosophical liberalism. So this goes beyond like Justin Trudeau or the left wing or the liberals or the Democrats. This is something that all Western politicians, whether they're right wing or left wing, they are liberal in the philosophical sense, meaning they accept the importance of freedom and equality above all else. They just have different ways to approach or achieve this supposed liberty and equality. They have different strategies, but they all worship, or they all bow their heads, kneel to this value of liberty and freedom and equality. And just to be clear, in Islam, we do value certain freedom of choice. We value the principle of equality. Those are things that are values found in Islam as well. But we don't raise those values above everything. We don't say this is the most important thing, and we're going to restructure society. We're going to restructure our family. We're going to restructure our entire religion so that we maximize freedom and equality. No, we keep everything in balance. And that's the beauty of Islam. And this is the extremism of liberalism, that you put liberty and personal choice and your equality. That is the most important thing. Essentially, it's the worship of the nafs. It's the worship of hawa, of desires and whims. That's what liberalism ultimately is. But it increases atheism. It increases a detachment from God. It increases a detachment from organized religion and traditions. Why? It's very simple. The religions, all religions, and even beyond religions, cultures, they all are traditional. They are all based on traditions. For example, in certain cultures, you have a wedding tradition. Like you have to dress like this. You have to wear certain colors. You have to have certain days dedicated to this kind of feast. You eat in this way, these kinds of foods. You're not supposed to see the bride beforehand. You're not supposed to talk to the groom in this way. All of these kinds of traditions that exist in different cultures. And Islam also has traditions and rituals. We have the sunnah. These are things that we practice, and they're traditional because we've taken them from the past. We have inherited them from the past. Obviously, Islam, when we practice Islam, all of the teachings of Islam are coming from the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is tradition. But liberalism says that no, these are chains. These are restrictions. Why, for example, you have to eat with your right hand and drink with your right hand. Why? You should, if you want, you should be able to eat and drink with your left hand. I think my camera is mirrored, so this is actually my left hand, not my right hand. So this is the liberal mindset. Like if you choose to break the tradition, by all means, tafaddal, go ahead, break the tradition. This is something good, actually. You have to go against the grain, go against the norm. You have to really explore and spread your wings, and don't be chained by these practices in your culture or your religion. You have to have the free choice. Whatever is good for you, whatever you wish to do, you should do it. That is the most important thing. So this is the liberal ideology, the liberal mindset. And it's very clear how this is contrary to every culture, every tradition, every religion. It's contrary to it. And Islam it's the most contrary to Islam, actually, because Islam is the religion that is the best preserved religion. Islam, objectively speaking, this is something that Muslims say, but it's objectively true from an academic standpoint, that Islam is the best preserved. How Muslims practice today is the same as they were practicing 1400 years ago. This is a established fact. And so when you have such a strong preserved tradition, then this becomes the biggest problem for liberalism. And this is why Islam is enemy number one for this kind of philosophical liberalism. And we see that throughout history with the colonial invasion of the Muslim world, the imperial invasion of the Muslim world over the past 250 years, in places like Algeria and Egypt and India, Bangladesh and Indonesia and Malaysia, different parts of Africa. We see that. And then in the current day, since the mid 20th century, and how these liberal regimes, these liberal Western democratic regimes, crack down on Muslims through, whether it's this so-called war on terror, or whether it's through countering violent extremism policies, or it's other kinds of discrimination and surveillance of Muslims. This is all done by liberalism, because liberalism identifies Muslims as being so resistant to the liberalizing force. The Muslims just won't liberalize. Muslims want to keep practicing the Quran and Sunnah no matter what, and they keep passing on the same traditions, and they keep practicing the same traditions generation after generation after generation. This is a problem. We want to liberalize them like the Christians have liberalized. We want to liberalize them like the Hindus and the Buddhists and the Jews have liberalized. We want them to become a liberal version, and then ultimately, eventually, they're going to become agnostic, and then they're going to be atheist. This is the step-by-step path. You can call it khutuwat shaitan, the steps by shaitan, basically. This is what liberalism encourages.